Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here, and get ready for Gnosis. Well, one of the things that has become fashionable now, and I keep hearing this term coming up more and more, and I, in the past, had not heard this terminology, but apparently it's used quite a bit now, and that's Tulpas, otherwise known in more common vernacular as condensed thought forms, how you take a thought form and you create a living entity. Now, this term, Tulpas, seems to come from the Tibetans, and there was a famous case, I'm not sure of the person's name, I believe it was a woman who went to Tibet and was taught how to do this and actually created one of these that was so strong that it caused a bit of problems, and she had difficulties finally getting rid of it. So the story goes. Now, this is nothing overly new. The creation of making a spirit entity or some sort of entity from usually a group of people using thought forms is an old method and could be quite powerful if you could ever get a group of people to work together, which seems to be near impossible because of the programming that is told everybody to keep everybody divided and conquered. But if you can get a group together, you have a potential of creating a very strong thought form entity that does your bidding for you. Now, you can do this yourself as well, but it's very difficult. And we have to make sure we clarify here because there's so much misunderstanding that it requires quite a bit of very strong thought forms to create this kind of entity. The average person is going to have great difficulty doing this. But if you were to segment your time, do this daily, and have a very clear image of what you want to produce, well, and feed that energy constantly every day for a long period of time, you can probably create something like this. Or so it is thought. Now, one of the problems is that, yes, these things are possible. Yes, advanced empowered people and spiritual people can do this to some form or another. Generally, what you do with something like this as a thought form is that you project it at a particular target or to yourself, creating that energetic field around you that kind of magnetically serves to bring to you what that thought form is there for. Meaning you create a thought form to bring prosperity to you, and you generate that energy around you. And it's a type of visualization where you form those energies around you. Creating an entity is extremely difficult. Now, it's like everything else, but everybody wants to do techniques and they don't want to do any work. I'm the same way, but I wish it worked like that. I want to hit home runs in a baseball game, but I don't really want to practice, and I don't want to spend hours hitting balls. What's the point of that? Just go up there and hit. Well, it would be nice. Everything's nice in life, and it fits into the Hollywood world very well, but that's why it's Hollywood. It's all fake. So, the bottom line is that if you want to do this, you need to have the basic foundations. That means you have to understand what centering is and do it. You have to work out in your mind gym. You have to open these empowerments in your consciousness to generate strong energies. If you are not centered, meaning you have control of your own mind, and you haven't then opened the psychic centers, you don't have enough energy to produce an entity. Or be very successful, period, but you can probably send some energy to a target or to yourself to manifest things. But, it's going about it wrong. I know it works. It's just that everybody wants a flip of the switch, a 1, 2, 3, and it generally doesn't work. Now, this is what consciousness machines work off of. They work off of thought forms, otherwise known as radionic machines. And what you need is an amplified radionic machine to create these things. So, if you have a machine, a proper one, which there are none on the market until our new units come out, you'll be able to create things like this that are physical presences, an entity for what you want. But you need those machines because they take your basic low energies and they amplify them dramatically and start amplifying that energy 24/7. This is what starts to get these kind of results from. But it takes an awful lot of energy if you're going to construct a particular entity. So it's not like just sending out a thought form to somebody that you want to influence, etc. This is creating an entity. And it's been done by occult groups for, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of years. So this is not a new practice. What's the new techno-shamanism? Well, that's to use some sort of device to make the process easier and faster. And that would require to have some sort of machine. Or you get together a group. Now, they don't necessarily have to be together. If you know people and they all do this work daily at whenever it's easy enough for them, with a very detailed description of that thought form that you want to make, that entity you want to make, well, you could do that even with many people. You could do it yourself once you're centered and you have empowered yourself using empowerment tools as well. You've got to be centered. You got to know how to do that. It's simple, but it takes work. You've got to use psychic development tools, not books, tools. You have to be active, and this is very important. Now, we offer all these online. Check them out. Once you've done that, then you yourself can, from a psychic basis alone, create a thought form. Now, you'd have to first write down in great detail what you expect this entity to look like, be like, and do. Very important that it is very complete and very thorough. Junk in, junk out. If you build a thought form that isn't complete and isn't designed to be under your will, well, there is a possibility that you could have a problem there and that you then have to dissipate that thought form or attack it and destroy it. Now, this is probably very rare, but it certainly is something that could happen, and people are sloppy. So you need to do that, and if you're using a machine, you need the same things. You have to be very detailed, and this is important in manifesting in general. You have to be very detailed. You can't say things like, or make a thought form out of, I want money. Well, what does that mean? You want a quarter? $5, $50, $100, $1,000, 10,000, 10 million? We have to state what you desire and be specific about it. So putting down details and writing them is essential. As I said, Tulpas are Tulpas. What a terrible name. So, thought form created entities certainly is not new, but to think that you're going to create a powerful spirit like that woman claim that she didn't cause problems. Well, these are all great stories, and certainly it can be done, and certainly I've seen it done with groups in particular, and it can be done with a techno-shaman machine, and I've done this myself, and you set up and make an entity like that for a particular purpose, and then you take that entity and you have it work for you, or you send it at somebody else. This is certainly very viable. What people talk about and what they do and everything else, all of this is very difficult to verify what anybody has done. I wouldn't think there would be much dangers in all of these things. Generally, you are the creator, and you should be able to dissolve that creation or control it. And that should be part of your statement in your thought form, that you're creating this being that is under your control. Now, leaving these things out can at times be dangerous. Sometimes people are lucky and manifest something out of the blue unexpectedly for whatever reason at all, but they've built a very shoddy, poor thought form without much details, and this can backfire on them. So, like everything, or people that fail to manifest because they haven't been detailed about it. Or they do manifest. Yeah, I needed money, and they got $100, but they needed $1,000. Well, they didn't specify that. So, you have to be careful with these things and specify exactly what you're looking for. So when you make a thought form spirit entity, make sure that you include in that thought form that you are under control of this 100% and that you have the power to destroy it at any time. Little things like this that you don't think about could be the difference between having problems and not. In general, while of course we hear of all these spirit problems, generally the biggest problem that everybody has is manifesting anything in general. It's not easy to produce a powerful thought form on your own. People are not trained properly. They're not conditioning themselves. They're not doing the proper exercises. If you do these, you will create one. It's not, if you have the right background, train yourself properly, you will do that. How powerful it is, what it does for you, well, again, that depends on your level of empowerment. But in general, I wouldn't worry about that aspect of it, especially if you do it right. If you do it right, then you won't have any problems at all. But stories of things turning on you, well, why would that be? Doesn't even make much logical sense. But if you're corrupt and evil and something turns on you, well, you're just giving it part of your personality, and I guess you deserve it. Until next time.